Well, hello, welcome. In today's video, we're gonna develop some film and kind of talk about what it takes to do and how long it takes, how to do it, etc., etc. I started this video already and got about 6 minutes in, realized that I was not recording my volume, my mic. So here we are doing it again. It's okay. So first things first, you're gonna need a couple things. You're gonna need a developing tank. You need your film, obviously. Inside your developing tank, you're gonna have these rolls that you're gonna load your film on. You need a dark bag or a dark room, some scissors, and then you'll need, obviously, your chemicals, which are over there. First, we're going to load up the dark bag. So we're gonna take our developing tank, our rolls of film, which already one's in the tank, but that's okay, and our canister, and then the most important thing is your scissors, because you can't get the film off of the canister without scissors. I've learned that the hard way, one too many times. So once we got the dark bag loaded up, we're gonna zip it up, Velcro it. I like to flip it over so that the open side is on the bottom, just in case any light leaks, you know, who knows. We're gonna stick our hands in, and we're gonna take that leader of that film, and we're gonna just pull it out a little bit, and we're gonna line it up on the actual spool. Pull it through, and once you get it in there, you just start kind of rolling it out. I like to pull it out of the canister of film a little bit, so that I know that I'm actually kind of rolling it. You pull it out, you roll it to all the way in, pull it out, and just keep going. Keeps it kind of nice and tight and not like having a bunch of random loose film rolling around in the bag. Then once you get that on, which almost there, and honestly these are one of those things that you gotta have to almost sacrifice a roll of film and do it in the daylight so that you can kind of see what you're doing and get a feel for it. So just buy a cheap roll of film, or if you have one that you accidentally exposed, just pull it out and kind of practice loading these in the daytime, because it makes it a lot easier. That's what I did. So takes a second. Sometimes it gets a little bound up on the canister. All right, now once you have that rolled onto the spool, you're gonna take your scissors. I know that you can't see a single thing that I'm doing right now, but take the scissors and cut the leader off of the actual roll of film, so that now your film is just on the actual spool itself. You're going to take the top off of your Jobo tank or developing tank, stick it on the spool, make sure it's nice and tight, closed up. Now we can flip this back over, unzip our dark bag. And remember, all this has to be done in a dark bag, because otherwise you're gonna expose your film to light, and you don't want to do that. And voila, we are now ready to start developing. All right, so while this fills up, a little story time for you. If you looked at the title of this video, you notice that it also mentioned shooting your shot. And what I mean by that, as a photographer, is shooting your shot when you think that there's kind of no chance that you actually might, see the results. So what I mean by that is reaching out to promoters, out to bands, etc., that you want to take photos for, and just shooting your shot. See what they say. Worst thing that they can say is no, but there's also a right way to do it. And what I mean by that is, with reaching out to bands and promoters and whatnot, they have a million people trying to talk to them, and the last thing that they want is some random photographer messaging them. But there's good ways to go about reaching out to them. And one way that I love to do is, you know, if it's a local promoter or a local-ish band, go to their shows that aren't, you know, the big show and take photos for them, and kind of just keep your face around so that they know who you are and exactly why you're there. And you know, it's one of those things where if they see you enough and they like your work enough, that they'll be a lot more accepting when you reach out to them, you know, for the shows that you really want to take photos for. Anyway, little rant. All right, after some finicking, it's working. So we're gonna let the temperature get up to 102. All right, for C41, there is different developing times on if you're just developing it normally or if you're pushing the process. And if you don't know what push or pull is, there's a lot of good videos on YouTube. Go look it up. I'm not the guy to explain that to you, at least not today. But what I always do on my rolls of film is I write in +1 or +2 if I'm pushing my film. That way I know how long to develop it for. In this case, the C41 kit from Cinestill comes with a little development chart. I have my chemicals at 102 degrees. So for development, it'll be 4.5 minutes. It's warmed up. 4.5 minutes. And then for my fixer, it's 8 minutes. So we'll get to that. And one thing I like to do, even if your thermometer reads 102, give it an extra minute or two so that the actual liquids inside of your fixer and developer are actually raised to 102, not just the water around it, you know? All right, now that we have our chemicals basically warmed up, we're gonna start the actual development process. In my case, I'm pushing my film one stop, so it's gonna be 4.5 minutes, but always check out the chart that they give you. That'll be your kind of guiding light. And then before you start anything, I always recommend a pair of gloves. These are my Dexter gloves, because look at how nasty those are. Don't want that on your skin. And this does leak a little bit, so a towel underneath is also advisable. So we're gonna put the gloves on. We're gonna go grab one of our developer. Pop this top off. Oh yeah, didn't mention, this top can come off. It's sealed completely. So this top can come off. That's where you pour your chemicals in. I like to bring my actual tank to my chemicals and not them to me. Just makes it so that when you're developing in your house like I am, that you're not gonna make any spills that you don't wanna have to clean up, because that would be a nightmare. Anyway, we're gonna go grab it and then we'll start the timer. All right, start the timer. And then for the first 10 seconds of development, I like to give it a good mixture up and down. Maybe a little even longer, that's fine. Boom. And see, already leaking a little bit. Time for me to get a new tank probably. But that's okay. As long as we got a towel, we're good. And yeah, so for the first 30 seconds, when it hits the 30-second mark, you're gonna agitate 4 times, or 5. It's not an exact science by any means. So yeah, now for this, every 30 seconds, we're gonna just start agitating every 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now while we do that, back to our little shooting your shot. So we're talking about how to reach out to these people, how to make a name for yourself. You know, just be consistent. Really, that's the only way that you can make it so that people notice you. Being consistent makes it, and you know, sending your photos when it makes sense to people. You know, let them use your work if you want them to, at least at the start. That way you can kind of get your foot in the door. And honestly, like, if I didn't do that when I was first starting out, I wouldn't have ever been able to shoot some of the shows that I've shot, make the connections that I've made. Yeah, and I wouldn't probably be here how I am with photography without doing it. Now I'm rambling. But, you know, such is life. So we'll fast forward through the rest of the developing process. It's every 30 seconds, agitating, pretty easy. All right, we are closing in on dumping this developer out and then swapping to fix my last cycle. And I got about 15 seconds left. And what I like to do when I'm closing in is just kind of pop my top off and then kind of make my way over as the timers are getting ready. That way you can kind of keep yourself on time without extending your developing time unnecessarily. So we dump that out. Put the cap back on the developer. I just usually put it back in the water just to make it simple. And now we're gonna put our Blix in. And this again is for 8 minutes. I like to start my Blix session with a, there we go, a 10-second agitation again. So we're just gonna do math on my timer. 13 minutes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. So again, this is for 8 minutes. Very similar to the development. After your first long agitation, it's like 4 agitations every 30 seconds. So we'll fast forward through this again. All right, while we're waiting for this, I want to take 1 second, shout out everybody that bought my book. Appreciate y'all. Means the world to me to be able to put it on physical paper and have people actually enjoy it. And speaking of shooting your shot, shout out to Axe to Grind and Bob Shed. 2019 was able to shoot Have Heart on their reunion, and literally cold emailed Axe to Grind's email, asking if I could get a photo pass. Sent them a couple photos that I had taken beforehand, which, mind you, I had my camera for 6 months. And they said yes, gave a shot. They gave me a shot and was able to open up a lot of doors for me. So thank you. And also shout out to Jimmy and Curtis, Tied Down, Detroit family, love them. Thanks guys. Some fun upcoming stuff that I'm doing, not necessarily photography related, but my band Snake Out is playing a show in Florida. We are playing The Fest. It's in Gainesville, Florida. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Playing the pre-show and we're playing the actual fest. So Thursday and Saturday. It's gonna be a lot of fun. If anybody from Florida is watching and is gonna be there, come say hi. Would love to meet you guys. And maybe I'll be taking photos too. We'll see. I put in a request, shot my shot. We'll see. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's all good. We're there either way. Keep agitating. And we got about 3 minutes left. Makes a mess. This is why you wear gloves. I know this isn't the most exciting video in the world, but thanks for watching. Very educational. It's always funny filming these videos during the daytime. Parker, my 9-month-old, is currently taking a nap, and it's like a ticking time bomb on whether I can develop 2 rolls of film before he wakes up or not. Fingers crossed. All right, 2 minutes left, almost there. A couple more agitations and we'll be good. All right, and for our final agitation, 1 extra for good luck. Clean this off a little bit, and then we're going to bring this back over to the sink and dump it in our Blicks. Now that we have our chemicals out, we are going to start actually just washing it. Take some tap water and start putting it in the actual film. Now that we are done developing, we are just going to give it a nice rinse. Put it in the under the tap water. I like to dump it out manually. Gets all the gunk out of there. We can turn this thermometer off now. And for the next 3 minutes, we're going to just give this a good old rinse. And while we are rinsing, I am going to make my chemical canisters small. When you're storing them, it's good to take all the air out. So you just take the top off, push it down until the chemicals start to get to the top, and then screw it back on. That way, no air in there, and the chemicals will last longer. I think you can do, depending on the mix that you do, and depends on the brand, but I think with Cinestill you can get around 20 rolls of film out of your chemicals before you'll definitely want to change them by then. But usually you get roughly around 15 to 20 rolls. Just kind of want to make sure that it's not too dark and muddy and nasty before you ruin some of your film. Once you get to, I don't know, a couple minutes, I usually take the top off and rinse it off and throw it aside, throw it in the sink, whatever. That way you can kind of start spinning your film a little bit, and it helps get the extra crud off of it. Don't be afraid to wash longer than you think. It helps a lot with clean negatives and not having a bunch of extra crap on them. And you can always pull it out of here, and as you can see, there's actually, there's actually stuff on my negatives, which is always a plus. They look pretty good. Developed perfectly. I love it. Next, I'll show you how to hang them up and dry them. But before that, actually, one thing before we actually hang them and dry them is I always recommend doing a final rinse with distilled water and a little bit of Kodak Photo Flow. It's pretty cheap. Just get it on Amazon or whatever. But it makes it so that if you have any hard water, which Michigan kind of has some hard water, so it makes it so that you don't have spots when your negative's dry. So it is not, they say it's science, it's not an actual science. I literally just fill up one of these jugs, just do a little splash of photo flow. It might be too much, it might be too little, but it works for me. Put that back on, put this cap on, give it a nice shake, mix up. It gets all foamy. Take the top off, and then we're gonna dump. This is a one-time use. Dump that in there, and we're just gonna agitate for about 30 seconds. And yeah, what this does is just makes it so that your negatives are not going to have a bunch of water spots on them, because the first time that I developed at home, I did not realize that this was a thing. Pulled them out. They're my photos from Greece, and every single one of them has a million water spots on them, and I had to rewash them with this once I got it. So it makes a big difference, promise you. It's cheap, it's easy, it's a good final step. You should do it. So after about 30 seconds or so, I pull out the rolls, and then I just take the remaining photo flow and just dump them on top. So, and I like to kind of shake them a little bit so that they get nice and free of water and photo flow. Now we're gonna go to the bathroom. I'll see you in a second. Welcome to my bathroom. Once you get your rolls, I like to use this little squeegee. Some people are against them. It works really good for me. What I do though, before I do any of that, is I take my wet finger and kind of rub it on it so that it gets any dust or junk that might be on it off. And then I'm going to take one end of my roll and pull it out of the reel. And then just without putting your finger on any of the actual photos, I'll take the squeegee and pull it through so that, and then into the bathtub, so that it just gets off any of that excess crap. Usually do it twice, and then I'll take the dark side of the negative, I'll fold it a couple times, and then I'll put one of my clips, and I need a clothes hanger, which I don't have. I'll be right back. And we're back. Got my clothes hanger. Just put it on the shower rod, and then voila, hang them up. I like to take a couple more of my little mini clips. I'd recommend buying the bigger ones. They make it a lot easier. And you probably can't see this, but I'm just clipping them to the bottom so that when I have them dry, they dry nice and straight. And then I'm going to then take my other roll. And with these spools, you also can, which I learned after the fact, you can push in and twist, and this comes off. That way it's not kind of rubbing against it when you're pulling it out, so less scratching. Voila. And we're gonna do the same thing. Into the bathtub, give it a nice shake. One more time for good luck. And again, I'm gonna take the dark side, flip it over once. And just like that, we're done. Thanks for checking out the video. Like and subscribe. Peace.